Hey, welcome back to my tool shed. I want to get into a tool today I call Invictus, based on the poem of that name. It is something that I use when I'm going through my dark nights of the soul, and I've had three, four, five periods of dark nights of the soul over my life. Whenever I did, at least in the last, 15, 20 years, I've turned to this poem. More importantly, it's a poem that Nelson Mandela literally carried on his body in his pocket for 25 years when he was incarcerated, unjustly incarcerated at Robben Island. And he attributes some of his ability to get through his dark nights of the soul to this poem. Now, Invictus was written by a young man. I mean, it's truly remarkable. 14-year-old boy in the mid 1900s named William Henley. Henley had suffered from tuberculosis, eventually had his leg amputated, and he wrote this poem to get himself through the dark nights of the soul. So let me read it, and then we'll talk a little more about it. Invictus by William Henley. Out of the night that covers me, black is the pit from pole to pole. I thank whatever gods may be for my unconquerable soul. In the fell clutch of circumstance, I have not winced nor cried aloud. Under the bludgeonings of chance, my head is bloody, but unbowed. Beyond this place of wrath and tears looms but the horror of the shade, and yet the menace of the years finds and shall find me unafraid. It matters not how strait the gate, how charged with punishments the scroll. I am the master of my fate, I am the captain of my soul. William Henley offered this to us, I offer it to you. When you are up against one of those situations or those periods of time, the dark night of the soul isn't always a night. Oftentimes it's many nights or many years or even decades. Whatever it is you're going through, when you take this poem out, you get back to the spirit of it. It isn't that this young man didn't have fears or Mandela didn't have, those moments when he was knocked down. It's that feel the fear and do it anyways. It's that when we're going through it, that's when we need to turn to a tool like this to remind us the great men and women have come before us, and they have not only survived, they have learned to thrive, like my teacher and mentor, Viktor Frankl, and that our circumstances do not have power over us. In the end, as Frankl said, the only thing we have power over is our ability to choose our attitude, to choose our response. And so this is a tool that I turn to find that ability to respond. When I feel like I can't go on another day, another hour, it's one that I turn to at some of the darkest times of my life, as I mentioned, but one in particular. After I retired from being a rabbi, didn't know really who I was professionally anyways, but that crept into my personal identity. And so Ariella and I had moved the kids to a mountaintop in the Middle East, in Israel. And I didn't speak fluent Hebrew. I certainly didn't know what I wanted to do. I went from being a serious somebody to a serious nobody. And I had my dark nights of the soul. And I remember turning to this poem and just reading it, memorizing parts of it, because it got me through. And it's just one of those poems that cuts to the heart of what we need to hear, especially those last two lines. Well, I'll read the last few lines. It matters not how strait the gate, how charged with punishments the scroll. I am the master of my fate. I am the captain of my soul. Again, we don't control our circumstances. We don't control the opinions of others or what they do to us or what life does to us. But what we do control is our power to choose our response, right? We are the master of our fate. We are the captain of our soul. So if you are turning to this tool, I imagine it is at a time when you really need just one more something, one more strategy, one more tool, one more ability to go on just a little bit further. So whatever you're going through, no matter how difficult, how much, how bloody it is, how painful it is, how dark it is, there's always hope. And this is one of the ways we can get back to that place of hope, by turning to this again and again and again, and just really embodying those words, that message, this mission. I am the master of my fate. I am the captain of my soul. And again, Invictus. Invictus means unconquerable soul. And that is who you are. I'll end with this. Viktor Frankl talks about that our bodies break. It's just the way it is, and our minds become ill. But there's a piece of us, the true piece of us, the eternal piece of us, and that is our new OC called it. You can call it your unconquerable soul. That place is always healed. That place is always whole. And Invictus reminds us that when we're going through it, we got to get back to that, because we are the masters of our fate. Excuse me, the captain of our soul. I will see you in the next video. Until then, live with meaning, purpose, and resilience.